All right, guys, I thought I would do a video of me doing some sessions with some personal dogs, so you guys can see that a lot of what I do with my training dogs, I do the same thing with my personal dogs. And don't mind my Pivo having a seizure, my little recording thing. It just likes to do weird stuff. Anyway, if you're wondering what I'm doing besides looking insane, Gracie, my black dog, she is starting tracking. So I'm laying some scent pads, which is where I'm looking like a cat in the litter box over here. This is making the ground smell like disturbed earth, as well as shedding a lot of really delicious Kelly skin cells all over the ground for her to find. And then I'm also putting some food in those scent pads to reward her for following the track. I'm using these flags always to the left of the track to signal where my track starts, because as you can see, it's really hard to find where your track's been laid. And honestly, even with the flags, it's really hard to see where your track's been laid. Even with scooting your feet around in the dirt, it all still looks the same. So I'm doing this for a little while before I pull out Gracie to do some tracking. You can see me looking for my track here. And then I have to awkwardly jump between tracks to try to not create one big confusing track. So I'm pulling out Gracie. We've got our tracking harness on. I'm running the leash under her armpit to encourage her head to stay down. It's connected to the collar. And I just direct her to the start of the track. I'm telling her track, and she's literally just eating food in a line. So this is dog training without really training, if that makes sense. So the whole tracking section of this video, it's Gracie just literally eating food, and we're using that to associate following the smell of these footsteps is going to get me to that next pile of food, and she absolutely loves her kibble. So she is more than happy for that. So here she's kind of got herself turned around. I'm just going to wait it out. I don't want to help her too much. One of the awesome things about stuff like tracking and scent detection is you're watching the dog do natural things that dogs are meant to do in a very controlled, specific way. So I don't want to help her too much. I want her to figure it out and be able to do this independently. So I am helping her when she needed it, but I'm trying to let her figure out what she needs to do first. So I'm just waiting, letting her eat. This is not the most entertaining thing to watch right now, but tracking is pretty cool. I used to be very anti wanting to train tracking, but it's actually not as bad as you think. And then I just pull her over to the next track, literally just watching her do this. This section is not that entertaining, so we may speed through some of this. So next I have Chicken. Chicken is not one of my personal dogs. She's a friend's dog that I've been watching while he's on deployment. He's hopefully coming back this month. But we've just been doing fun stuff. So we're working on our attention heel. Honestly, the sessions we did this day were not the best for her. They weren't her best, but that's okay. It's something that helps me see what holes we have in her attention heel, which is the head position mainly, because you can see she holds that body position well, the point of contact well. We're just having some issues with the duration on the head, and she fell over. So I know more of what we need to work on at home. And it's okay to not have the greatest sessions in the world. It's going to happen with every dog. Gracie doesn't always have the best sessions. Everyone has a bad day. Chicken was having a day this day, I think. So, I definitely don't blame the dog here. It's one of those things that is not worth getting emotional about. I see this all the time with client dogs, personal dogs, everyone does it. But it's nothing to get emotional about. You just have to separate the fact of how much you do care about the training of the dog. You need to be able to separate that from critical thinking and knowing that no matter what, I can always work through whatever bad behaviors are happening right now. And if today's just not our day, that's totally fine. I'm gonna reward whatever she's willing to give me and still make it a pretty good session. So she's working on her head position. You can see she's pretty squirrely this day. So, you know, sometimes we just have off days, and that's totally all right. And this is actually not the park I had wanted to go to. My GPS like took me to the wrong park completely. That's all right, because we got to go to 2 parks, the park I wanted to go to and then this one. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, she's not really having it too much. I'm here just double checking that her equipment isn't pulling her fur or anything. And I'm trying to help her figure out what she's supposed to be doing. I think at this point she's just kind of done with the session, which is fine. But I want to end it, you know, at a specific point where we have some good, you know, good reps and stuff going. I don't want to end it with me nagging her and not actually getting what I want out of her. So I'm just doing really easy, few steps, reward, etc. Until I'm getting something that I'm happy enough with that I can put her up. Honestly, I should have probably put her up way earlier in this session while it was still going okay. But again, we all have those one more rep moments where you work a little too long for the dog and then the session kind of falls apart a little bit. So it's a combined effort here of making the session really awkward, but that's okay. Chicken's giving me her best, I'm giving her my best, and together we're just working through it. Again, none of this is the end of the world. We can always come back and fine-tune things. And plus, you know, this is just a fun thing that we're doing together. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're not gonna go get judged on anything. We're literally just here to have fun and eat kibble. So I'm not super worried about everything. And honestly, looking at this video, her heel is a lot better than I was feeling it was in this session. So this is a sign that if you get awkward about your sessions, totally record them, because it is going to help you see that maybe it wasn't as bad as you thought it was. And here I'm laying another set of tracks for Gracie. I'm just gonna fast forward this because it's really, again, not that fun to watch. But I am just continuing to lay tracks in this field. I'm kind of assuming here that no one's really been in this field overnight. It's I think it's like a Monday, or no, it's a Wednesday on this day. So I'm just hoping it's a fairly barren field because my dog is very, very new to this. This is like our second session in tracking, or second day of tracking, I'm sorry. So I don't want to have too much cross-contamination of footpaths through here, but, you know, hope is our best tool for this. So next we have Miss Dixie, and if you've been following me for a while or you're a current client of mine, you'll know I got Dixie, I think back in like March or April, I believe. So she's still fairly new to the house. She's just now, you know, starting to show emotions and not just be aloof about everything. But I also have kind of been a little bit lazy and not really dedicated a whole lot of time to her obedience. So we're working on a sit stay. She's having a little bit of trouble with me moving around. I see that a lot with small dogs. They're scared to get stepped on. But I'm just using operant conditioning, you know, positive punishment, negative reinforcement, positive reinforcement, stuff like that, to help show her that sitting and staying there is the correct answer and gonna get you the food. She's an absolute kibble fiend. She's just working for her kibble here. And I'm of course using my leash aid to correct her when she pops up out of that sit. But yeah, this is like our first session on sit stays. Again, I've been very, very lazy with her obedience because she is small and not a problem, and that's a bad trap to fall into, so don't be me. But she's catching on really well, and I'm really happy seeing her expressions here. She's definitely into the training now. When I first got her, she was like, "Why are you touching me?" It was very, very not super keen on interactions and stuff like that. So I'm really happy to see that she's starting to come out of her shell a little bit and get excited. You know, I want dogs that are comfortable to get excited and comfortable to show their personalities and things. I don't like robots. So I'm really happy to see that she's starting to settle in well for me. And again, you know, she does continue to make mistakes, but I'm not getting upset about it at all. I want you guys to, like, if you take anything away from this video, if you do just watch me train my dogs, is that, like, don't get emotional about the dog making mistakes. It's not, like, it's never deliberately against you. It's not out to get you. It's just the dog's excited about something. The dog doesn't know something. You don't know what they're doing it for, but there's no reason for you to get upset about it at all. So Gracie's back to tracking. Her e-collar fell off in this clip, and this is your weekly reminder that equipment failures will happen to anyone, anytime. Always be ready for them. In this case, I just didn't clip her e-collar strap on all the way, so it just kind of popped off, which is fine. She's on leash. Also, she probably wouldn't go anywhere even if she was off leash, which is, again, don't take your dog to public places off leash unless they have a recall without the e-collar too, because equipment failures will always happen. So just always be prepared and have a plan B for your equipment if it was to fail. But we're just gonna fast forward through some tracking because, again, not that cool for you guys to watch. So one of the benefits of me going to the wrong park is when I was driving to the correct park, I saw that really cute sign. But anyway, here I'm at my new park. I have some wonderful soothing foot powder, an embarrassing buy from the Family Dollar. But I needed a powder to look at the wind. You can see it didn't really powder very well, but I kind of spray it a little so I can see the direction of the wind. I got it in my nose. It smells like mint. It's gross. But I do that to see the direction of the wind because my dog is so new at tracking. I don't want the odor, which is my footsteps and the food, to be rushing towards her with the wind. I don't want the wind blowing towards her because that's going to overwhelm her and make her move too quickly. I want the wind ideally kind of behind her. Here we're taking kind of across the track here. And the ground's too hard to put my flag in, but you get some POV tracking footage, I guess. I'm not really sure why I recorded this, but you can see what it looks like from me. But when we're doing stuff like detection and tracking, understanding how scent behaves and how scent cones are with the wind and things is really important. Because like this day, it was a pretty like moderate temperature, like it was comfortable outside, so I wasn't too worried about the odor moving. But if it was really hot, that odor is going to actually act kind of like a gas and really blow up and expand. If it's really cold, odor's going to act more like a liquid and kind of stay low and trickle around. And then of course, the wind is going to affect where that cone of scent is blowing from, and that can kind of mess your dog up as well. And you'll see this if you watch a lot of like detection videos and things with the wind. You'll see the dog go downwind, hit the odor, and start running into that scent cone to find the object or whatever. So that's why wind is really important, and so is temperature, and we know more now about odors than we did when we started this video. And for some of you that's good, and for some of you you're like, why am I watching this? But yeah, so this is me double laying my track because I'm walking back from the track. I have to be really careful where I walk, and it's really hard to remember where all my scent things are. So here's Gracie running it. Again, I'm gonna kind of fast forward this. She did a good job. I kept making goofy mistakes, but she's very forgiving, so I'm very grateful for that. So then I just kind of sped up chicken session. It's the same thing we did previously. Again, she's not having the best day ever today, but that's totally fine. I'm not always the best ever every day, so I totally get it on her part. We're just doing some healing. I've been having some issues with her, doing a little bit of some learned helplessness. So we'll be working and training, and then she decides that she's done working and training, and we'll just start to scream like I am murdering her. This is called learned helplessness, and it is very awkward when you're out training in public because the dog just starts shrieking, and it's like, I'm not hurting the dog. The dog is just trying to convince me that she's done with life. Think of it as like like if a little kid falls down and it's really not a bad fall, but they've had repeated events of like every time they fall, everyone rushes up to them and they're like, oh, it's okay, and they get like a lot of attention from that, so that every time they fall, they act like they just broke their leg or something. That's kind of what Chicken likes to do right now, but we're just gonna work through it. And if I get smashed online for Chicken, I'll just show them this video. Anyway, Dixie is working on her sits day like a little princess, because she is a princess and could do no wrong in my eyes. Same thing as before. I'm just being patient with her, taking my time. We're really just doing little baby steps. She's old, she's learning, she's little. We can only do so long of sessions too, because she can only eat so much in one sitting. It's very hard to switch from big dogs that I can train for however long and go to little tiny dogs that you give them like 15 pieces of kibble and they're done. So we do have to make every rep count here, and that's why I'm trying to do smaller steps and get a more solid foundation rather than trying to push her to the end of the leash. So we're just really taking our time. And I find, again, like small dogs have a fear of getting stepped on, which is, granted, because they've probably been stepped on. So I try to really take that into account when I'm working on my stays and things, because when I'm coming back, it can look a little bit intimidating. So I'm just really careful about how I handle it. I give her light little corrections. I do want to give her feedback, and let her know when she's doing the right thing, when she's doing the wrong thing, because that can make the behavior really clear, and we're going to see more of a difference a lot faster than if I just kind of played guessing games and she just eventually figures it out. So I'd rather give her yeses and nos rather than just yeses, because little dogs train just like big dogs. They just hurt your back a little bit more. So she's a good girl. And then our last session here is, of course, tracking with Gracie, laying my track, planting my flags, and of course, by the way, I know I'm not showing it, but I am picking up all of my flags after each session. I'm not a bad person, unlike the electric company that leaves flags in my yard every single week for me to mow over and kill myself with shards of metal. But we're just laying tracking stuff, we're just doing tracking stuff, we're just having a good time. And then after this, we just played some ball in this nice big field and packed up and went home, and we all fell asleep. Just kidding, I worked, the dog slept.